Technical difficulty.
I mean, this one is basically just a closed session. We probably
Right.
could just go into it. There's no requirement for us to be recorded.
Right. Well, with that, I will call the meeting to order at 6:02 PM. And if we could have a roll call.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Motive is excused. Reed.
Here.
Rocky.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. And I would entertain a motion tonight to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Gray moves to approve the agenda.
Alder Finkler will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Gray and a second by Alder Finkler to approve tonight's agenda. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the 2022 audit that was presented at the October 3rd regular Common Council meeting.
Alder Rolke will move to adopt the 2022 audit that was presented at the previous meeting.
Reed will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Rolke and a second by Alder Reed to approve to adopt the 2022 audit that was presented at the October 3rd meeting. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, we convene to close session per 1985. 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically to discuss the potential sale of 1400 Park Avenue in the city of Columbus.
Alder Gray moves to convene to closed session for 19.851E.
Alder Steiner can second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Gray and a second by Alder Steiner to convene to closed session per 19.851E. Can we have a roll call?
Hammer.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Steiner.
Aye.
Rocky.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Okay, we are in closed session.
So do you want this one back then? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Common Council Special Committee of the Whole Public Information Meeting on the 2024 budget. Today is Tuesday, October 10th. It is 6:48 p.m., and I would like to call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Finkler.
Here.
Gray.
Present.
Hammer.
Here.
Olderfus excused. Reed.
Here.
Welke.
Present.
Steiner.
Here.
Acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. And I would like a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please.
Alder Finkler will move to approve tonight's agenda.
Mayor Hammer will second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Mayor Hammer. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving right on to the 2024 budget workshop.
We all ready? Okay. So Susan brought in a revision tonight, okay? And the reason I went ahead and did that now is that the one that I sent you on Friday, there was only one item we were still working on, and that was the police department payroll. So since we've come to the point where I can put numbers to that, I went ahead and ran you a new report. The difference being with the modifications with the police department payroll, I am showing that we would benefit by raising the levy about $4,800 from where we've been staying at this last month together, okay? So if you want to go ahead and turn to your budget, the big budget workbook for just a minute, we can go over the list of changes that we worked on from our last meeting and the recommendations that you made and requested. Okay, so in your big budget workbook, I'm going to start with the front page of my letter to you. Okay, so we're just going to, if you have any questions on the changes. So one of the first things I did is I went back and looked through fire department budget, and I went ahead and increased the inspection wages that you had pointed out. I did that because instead of trying to offset with any other accounts, I just went ahead and added it. The fire department gets reimbursements from the rural fire group, and as I was working with Allie, the deputy treasurer, to compile this year's bill to the rural fire group, I realized that we've not been budgeting correctly. And so several of the areas, all I thought I was going to do was break it out into the other accounts. Well, there was a lot more that we get reimbursed for than they've been budgeting, and I estimated we were missing about $32,000 of the revenue in the budget that they're actually been getting. So that was added. Police department payroll, instead of looking to offset any other hours, we looked specifically at the payroll budget workbook that I have, and Chief and I sat down and looked at the different positions, their hours, the rates. Everything looked good. We went ahead and added the part-time in there at a full part-time person. And he just had one recommendation when you mentioned, are all of your accounts up to date on if you were fully staffed? And he said the only thing he was looking at was the tasers might cost a little more. They might want to invest in, make sure they have enough for the tasers for next year. So that was number 4. We did the netting of this whole area, 1 through 11 that I have listed. The netting actually gave me, I had $5,500 left over in budget because I'd increased the fire payroll so much, or the fire reimbursements. So I went ahead and added that to the account called contingency because I knew we were going to need to finish off with the police department review of their payroll. So recreation, we did add a full-time assistant. I took the piece of the part-time off of parks so that there was just the rec assistant full-time in the rec department, and there's the page number for that. And Stephanie, our HR, went back through the payroll workbook one more time to look at specific individuals and the insurances, because we had final insurance numbers. And with her updates to everything in there, we did have a significant netting out. So there's different plans have pretty big differences. So we were able to lower the budget for all over the place for payroll. The payroll changes with, that was number 8. So the pool, I was working with Amy Jo on her rec assistant position. And since their pool, the part-time staff that come in for the summer, the seasonal summer work, they had a very significant increase last year. And she said, I would rather, because I'm adding this assistant to my Parks and Rec budget, I would like to keep them static for a year. And it wasn't anything that she had to do, but she wanted to. So I took that down for her. The capital projects, we did speak with Jason, I don't think of his name, Jason, about potential stormwater projects. He brought up stormwater, that we should really get going on something. And there was 2 or 3 that came up in our discussions, and from the stormwater study that they did. But we decided as a group to go forward and look at Fireman's Park, the one that we have the most complaints from citizens about. So we would like to start there. Okay. All those net effects, like I said, I had $5,500 I was holding on to for additional changes with the police department. So now that we have that in, I was able, so the bottom half shows you what I did after I sent you the reports on Friday. There was a cemetery meeting last night in which they voted to increase the secretary's hours, 2 hours a pay period. We do have the mowing contract bids back, so I did increase that piece of budget. And the overall net, I'm leaving it the 564 for increasing the levy, because I believe that some of those projects, the street project may be able to be done a little lower. So the offset number in the cemetery budget, let's see, I'm just going to show it to you so you know where it's at. Okay, if you want to pop to page 26. In the revenues, the very last number you see, 5,774. So this account designated prior year carryover. And you use it for carrying over something you didn't spend, or when you're choosing to use a fund balance. There's a slight fund balance with the cemetery fund, number 235. And we counted on that at this if the cemetery fully had all these expenses and only these revenues, they would probably need about 4,000 something in prior year funds to get through this 1 year where we've had some changes. And so I put the number in there and increased it to 5.7. And I'm comfortable with doing that because if the road project does come in a little bit less because we have another road project going on, then we won't even be tapping into those prior year funds. And looking at us trying to develop and maintain a cemetery budget, I think this is a good standing to start at, because we're going to keep working with DPW to make sure cemetery expenses get to the cemetery fund and not just putting them in their bills and paying for them under DPW. I really want to know what cemetery is costing us. So I'm comfortable leaving it the way it is this year, and so we have a good feel for it as the next year progresses, okay? So that was cemetery, and then now that we have the final numbers for police department, I don't expect those to change. We did do some netting out with everything that I had left in the contingency fund. If I put it back to the 20,000 that we originally started at a month and a half ago, then the offset comes from the contingency, and we only needed an additional 4,236 for PD. So the levy, the overall total levy that we've been sitting at for the last while, we're recommending that we increase it 4,800 to cover these things. I think we did pretty dang good.
I mean, I think you did more than pretty darn good. You have our police department and our fire department properly budgeted for, our rec department adding a full-time assistant, and we're looking at doing stormwater projects, and our levy's going up by under $5,000. That's phenomenal. I really appreciate it.
Yep, I've had a lot of help. People are very adamant to bring things forward and explain things that they have knowledge of, and I draw on that. So this budget is as good as everyone who's been working with me. Yep. So the rest of your sheets here are the same ones I gave you last time. They've just been all updated, okay? So if you had any additional questions there. And then now you have what we believe is the final budget that we would recommend the council adopt. And if you'd like, we can turn to the slideshow that just kind of gives us an overview, okay? All right, yep, Lisa, you're up. Page 1. All right, so the remaining process we have is tonight, October 17th, we will bring a copy, or I will fill in the ad that we need to publish and bring that with this workbook that you've got. We'll make sure we just put a full copy in there so it's in the packet. It'll match the ad, budget ad. And then optional was the 24th, and I'm actually going to be out of town, and Lisa's going to be out of town, so we're really happy that we're ahead of the game. So we don't have to have that meeting. And then upon your approval on the 17th, we would hold our budget hearing, on November 7th. Okay, so these are the same 2 slides you saw a few weeks ago. And the things that, I read through them again after our meeting last time and realized, oh, we did have stormwater on there, and we weren't proposing any actual projects at the time, but I'm very glad you brought that up so we could entertain that this upcoming year, so that was good. And the numbers impacting the budget, they're the same things that we've discussed. Chris and I developed our details that we wanted to present to you a month ago. And there's nothing additional or significant that has changed since then. And I probably would mention the state shared revenue. I remember let's see, it was fire chief, yep. He mentioned that the shared revenue, if there's, it's supposed to go towards public safety and, oh yeah, we've done that. So we did and are. And if you look at, if I look, we've actually exceeded more of that in increases in payroll all across the city, so. All right, our next slide I've added to your little slideshow here. So this breaks out your taxing jurisdictions. So if you looked at your actual tax bill, you've got your county assessment, the city assessment, the Columbus School District, and the technical college, Madison Technical College. So it's not just a city bill. This is everyone. So just wanted to kind of show it's a page that sits in our office over there. When people walk in, they can see, where do your tax dollars go? So this is showing you where your tax dollars go. It's your full bill, okay? And I just wanted to make sure I note that the one that says for 2023, that's the estimate. That is based on the numbers in the revised packet I gave you tonight. So I did update those numbers. And it is estimates because we're estimating the TIFs until we have all those jurisdictions' actual numbers. So what I did is I took the highest of the last 3 years for each one of those districts, the taxing jurisdictions. I took their highest number over the last 3 years as my method of estimating. And then your property values are next. And I just went ahead, and most people don't understand the equalized value, but your assessed value is what your property taxes are based on. So I wanted you to see the difference there. And then your tax rate. So our city levy, this is based on the mill rate calculation. So it's $7.90 is what we're estimating for 2023 based on the information you have tonight. And if I use my same calculation on the TIFs, your overall levy is the $23.39. That would be an overall levy. That would be every taxing jurisdiction together. That's the total on your bill. So I just wanted to show our city piece and the total. Okay, and then these next two are an update from last month. So it's your general fund, the tax levy. This is your city levy. So the percentages are just teeny bit. We went from an overall levy from 3.16% increase to a 3.29. And then the next slide is the same thing in dollars, so you can see the difference. And then our general fund breakdown, that's all the different areas. And I did kind of pick and choose a few accounts and put them into certain areas because I thought they fit. But they'll be, when I do the ad, I'll be following how the auditors write our financial statements by those categories. So hopefully I'm getting their template to show me where my accounts fit into that because I want to start being consistent with our audit report. So I'll be working on that over the next couple of days. And then the city general fund expenses, again, those are in dollars. And then the worksheet or the 3-page letter that I gave you last time, I went ahead and put those in a graph for you. So you have our city's actual debt, the state limit, and our city's policy limit. So you can kind of see that in graph form, and there's your dollars. So all these numbers from this come from they're on those 3 pages except for the general fund expenditures. Those are from the big audit, or big budget book. And then you'll notice on capital projects, I went ahead and added the stormwater project. So you have a complete list of the capital projects. Okay? All right, so is there anything from the changes or where we sit now that the city administration is recommending and handing to you at this time?
Alder Steiner?
I just had a question, and I may have missed it because I'm not an accountant. I don't remember
Okay,
these things.
sure.
But we were originally designating ARPA funds for the purchase of 1400 Park Avenue. Since we're not doing that, where did that fund come out of?
Last I heard, they were still being used for the dingy property.
Okay. So is that what we're designating that for then? Are we still doing that?
I don't know, Chris?
When Chris was here, you discussed it and decided you were not going to change. You wanted to remain the way it was and report it that way for ARPA.
Okay.
We have one more round of reporting.
Okay, I thought we weren't going to do it anymore through the ARPA funds. It was going to come off something else, but clarification?
Alder Reed?
Oh, no, thank you. And that was a very good question. I'm pretty sure those funds have not been accounted for because we're still in the midst of negotiations for what happens in the future with the property.
Right, they
Yeah.
would be classified revenues in the current year. And someone brought up, oh, if we sell a property, what can we use the funds for? And those funds are available in your fund balance for future projects. One thing I wanted to, sorry, my mouth's dry. Took an allergy pill, like everybody around me's been doing. But if you'll notice every month when I give you your financial statements, the big one once a month, there's a treasurer's report that has your savings and investment accounts on it, the investment list. So towards the bottom of one of the pages, there's a little group under a title called designated funds. So this account was set aside for different purposes to be tracked, and they're basically in your fund balance. They're not like on your revenue statement and expenditure statement every year. They're being carried in fund balance. So when those savings are there and you want to do a project for them in the following year, then you budget the project and you do a carry forward, and you would pull them from those designated funds. So what I've seen happen, and you guys can do too, like with the park funds, we set those funds aside. They're in a fund balance, and when you want to use them, they have donations for 2-3 years now, and they're going to use them next year. So we budget for them that way, and the funds are there. So when you say, oh, we want to track for the fire truck like we're doing now, I'm keeping that money separate. A donation comes in, we log it, we enter it into that account, and it becomes a current year revenue, but then we're monitoring it and tagging it for future use. And you can do the same thing with sales. I know we had additional reimbursement last year in 2022 for a street project, and we were able to get additional funds back on that through, I think it was DOT that paid us off, or it was a county payment to us that we weren't counting on. So one use of those funds was to pay down the negative capital projects and debt funds. So those went directly to those funds to help pay for those funds, because if the budget hasn't been staying at zero, if you've been going over budget, then your fund balance starts to go negative. And then the following year, you budget for extra to go in there to pay it down if you want to, or when you have excess come in a current year, you can use that to transfer to a fund that needs a fund balance boost.
Thank you. And I had one super small question I forgot to ask last week, and that was just about a library request. There wasn't actually something that would be in their budget because they were inquiring about a possible safety crosswalk lighting.
Oh, I
Just-
think we were looking at installing that through DPW under traffic lights.
Very
It would be
cool.
under street lights, the traffic lights area. So, yeah, I think they're looking at getting that installed.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I knew that it couldn't go under library, even though they were, because they
It
were
would-
just,
it's part
they were
of our
just bringing it
streets.
up.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much. And I just want to mention that the budget is bringing me joy and happiness. Thank you.
Oh.
It's wonderful.
Good.
Alder Gray?
Going back to Alder Steiner's questions and comments, I do believe we did agree to keep it ARPA funds for now. But if those funds come back in, I do think it would behoove the council to designate them somewhere to where they should go. So it'd be, I mean, similar to ARPA funds, it's basically getting it all back and then some, and we can designate. It's not laundering it. But I think we should, in my opinion, those funds should be earmarked for a similar
Yeah.
type thing. So just for, but I think that's something that the council will need to act on instead of it just going into a general fund balance. So that is something that we need to talk about is and where those potential funds could end up so that they end up earmarked appropriately.
Alder Finkler?
To piggyback off of Alder Reed, when there's the discussions that's going to happen about the crosswalk, we did also talk about evaluating potentially other intersections that could utilize that for safety purposes. For example, we do have some intersections that are deemed as dangerous for school children, so we may want to consider doing that. I know Brandon had sent us an email where there was some information about that, and I think it may be cheaper if you do multiple and, you know, that type of stuff. So just something I would like to have thrown out there. And good job on the budget. Thank you.
Mariana?
In regards to the traffic lights, I'm not sure, but Brandon may have reached out to Jake Flood, superintendent of the schools. I know he was going to. I don't know if he ever got to that point, but we can double check with that
So
also.
the superintendent.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the
Well,
things.
Lisa and I can follow up and see where that ended up.
Yeah, because one of the things is the example is Tower Drive and Highview Lane. That's deemed immersion or a dangerous intersection there. And because of that, all the kiddos down that road are bused in. So it may be something that could be considered as a potential, since we can't, get enough crosswalk staff to do that. I'm not sure, but it's something to consider. And I know there has been citizens that have had concerns on that intersection, crossing it because it's downhill and around a corner, and people fly down Tower Drive. So I know there have been some citizen concerns on that, so.
Any other questions or concerns? Go ahead. Did you have
That's all
anything
I
else?
have.
Okay. In that case, I guess I would take a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Alder Finkler will move to adjourn.
Reed will second.
I have a motion from Alder Finkler and a read from Alder second. All those. And now I'm going to go home and take a nap. Let's try that again. I have a motion from Alder Finkler and a second from Alder Reed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Wow. We are adjourned.